Alright, so carburetor and gas tank, I'm going to take these off next. I'm going to take the tank off and the carburetor with the gas line all still attached as one unit, so I can spill everything out of this gas tank and not spill it everywhere, because there's going to be some nasty stuff in there. So I've taken the blade off the Scots. I'm going to sharpen that while I clean the carburetor, and I'm going to go ahead and dump what oil is out. And this is sludged up, as you can see. Just the plug I pulled out. Probably not much oil in here. And here's a blade. Outside it being rusty, it's really not that bad. It can be reused. So we're going to sharpen that as well. So I took off the air filter housing, which also has a primer bulb. The primer bulb is good in here. This carburetor looks like it's in horrible shape. So let's get the tank off and get the carburetor off all together as one piece. And there are two 3/8" bolts in here holding this carburetor. I'll be able to drop it down now that I got the gas tank loose and disconnect the linkage that's right there. Okay, last bolt is out. Should be able to drop this down and work this linkage out. And we got it loose. And we have the gas tank and carburetor all off in one piece. And I'm sure it's a mess. So we're going to take this carburetor off and begin cleaning it, and take this gas tank off without spilling any gas, and clean that tank out as well. And this is typical what you find in these gas tanks. I see some trash, and if you look close at the bottom you can see water, because it's definitely the heaviest of the two and goes to the bottom. So we had water in that gas tank, which is not good for a carburetor. And we have separated the carburetor from the gas tank, and now we're going to take this bolt nut off and see what kind of mess we got in here. Yep, that's pretty bad. Looks like the carburetor is dry, best I can tell. Let's see if this... Oh, there's some... Oh, yeah. Oh gosh, it's like milk in here. It is so corroded. Ugh. Gosh, it's like milk. Which is water. So look at this carburetor. Isn't that a mess? Fortunately, I've got parts, which this is going to require, which is probably going to be a needle in a seat. And that float is stuck. So we're going to have to take this apart and clean this. It's pretty yucky. Look at that. Is that not a horrible looking carburetor? I did get the pin out. Let's take a look at this and see if this float... Oh boy, that is really stuck in there. So the needle is definitely stuck in there. Wow. I don't want to damage this float, so let me take my time and get this out. So I was able to get the float out without damaging it, and I'll put a new needle in there anyway. With a screwdriver I was able to push it out, but look at all this white stuff just caked in here. I have to really let this carburetor soak and see if it's savable here, but boy, I've never seen one with this buildup of what looks like just dried gas. Well, this carburetor off the Scots is in really bad shape. Even though I've cleaned it, the metal is just pitted really bad in it. And I think it will leak around this bowl gasket if you can see this chunk of metal missing here. So even after cleaning this, it's just not usable. And the float bowl was bent in it, so I took the other carburetor off the other Scots. I'm going to clean it up and use it. It looks better. I can reuse the pin in it. The float bowl looks good in it, and the float is good in it, so I'll put a new needle and seat on it. And these carburetors are identical, so I'll be able to transfer this over. So we got the seat in there. Don't know if you can see that or not. Kind of packed that down with the end of a drill bit. Now we'll put the float in and needle. And we got the float in here. So let's get the bowl on and the bowl nut gasket. So here we go. This is the carburetor off the donor Scots. It's going to go back on the Scots with the self-propelled. So I can blow in here when the carburetor's down. That tells me there's no fuel in there and the needle is working. It's allowing gas to come in. And if I turn it upside down and try to blow in there, the needle's cutting off, so I can't blow in there then. So that's telling me that this float and needle is all working. So let's put this back on the Scots and get some gas in it and see if it's not going to leak. And the carburetor is back on. Now we're going to put the gas tank and gas line back on here. Alright, the gas tank is back on. I put the air filter cover back on here as well, which has a primer button. So when I put gas in here, I can see if it is priming. So we're going to take it outside and put some gas in here and give it its first start.